Hey guys, I want to start growing seedlings early in the spring to get a head start on the summer growing season. In this video I'm going to be unboxing and setting up this germination station, including a grow light, a seedling heating mat, and thermostat. I'm also going to be planting some seeds in these jiffy trays. So first off, this is not a sponsored ad. If I like the project, I'll tell you. If it sucks, I'll make fun of it. So next, let's talk about pricing. I bought this gear in January 2017. I just checked the prices a few months later and they have increased dramatically to the point where I don't recommend buying these products unless the prices come back down to what they were a few months ago. So in Canadian dollars for this heating mat by Jumpstart, I paid $85. It's now 108 Canadian. For the lighting system, I paid 105. It's now 150. And for this thermostat, I paid 46. It's now 53. The seed packages were $20 a pouch. They remain the same. And the jiffy trays, they're $10 a pack. And I got those at my local home and garden store. If you can get these products at reasonable prices, like I paid, or even a bit lower, you did pretty good. But while these prices are high, find alternate solutions. Like instead of using grow lights, use shop lights. And instead of using a heated mat, use the top of your refrigerator or somewhere in your furnace room. So let's get all this stuff opened up and see what we got inside. So these lights are 4 feet wide and can hold up to 4 standard jiffy trays. It has a cool T5 fluorescent daytime bulb. It has an internal pulley system so that you can raise the lights as your plants grow. And it can help get seeds and cuttings off to a good start, or you can use it all year round for an inside garden or on your houseplants. So let's have a look inside. So the instructions say that the 2 little knobs on the bottom of the foot should be facing the ground. However, the way they have their T connector installed, the feet are not on the bottom, so I'm going to have to remove theirs. It obviously won't come out, so I'm just going to have to live with it. I don't know why they did that with both. So I'm just going to use a hammer to tap this together. One of the legs is put together. They have the channels here on the bottom. But as you can see, they didn't line it up correctly here on this leg. I'm not sure why they didn't pay particular attention to the quality of the product. But hey. Alright, there you have it. The frame is put together. It feels pretty good, pretty decent quality. The pulley system here inside, it looks nice. It's a nice clean setup, pretty good quality, nice sleek look to it. I'm just kind of confused about why they didn't put the feet on correctly. So let's have a look at the light itself. So I think you need to remove the light just by twisting it, so that you can remove the pieces of styrofoam. The plastic had moved up on each side, preventing the light from coming out. So I'm just going to slide those off, put it back into the slots, twist it with both hands, and there you go. So inside the bag we have a power cord, some instructions inside of another bag, and a couple of clips. So the clips, I'm assuming, go on the top where it says attach hanging clip between arrows. So let's attach the clips between the arrows just by sliding them on. Snap the other one on. So these hooks just fit on over like that. That's enough to secure it, so just do both sides. And the power cord has its own unique end on it, of course, so if you lose it or it stops working, then you are kind of in trouble trying to find a new power cord. 3-prong, and it has a switch on it. and it just fits right into that end. It fits into this end here. There you go. So the light feels like it's okay quality. The ends feel like cheap plastic. Can you use a shop light instead? Probably. If you have the time and patience to make your own frame, stand, and then attach the shop lights and get the proper light so it's full spectrum. Yeah, for sure. Save some money that way. So next we have the seedling heating mat. The mat is 4 feet wide and 20 inches long. It completely covers the surface for 4 Jiffy trays. So obviously the purpose of a heating mat is to create the ideal environment so that your plants will thrive. So on the box it says that the mat warms the root area up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit over the ambient air temperature. So the ambient air temperature in my house is 75. Does that mean it creates a temperature of 95 degrees? If so, my plants are going to die. If I put this in my garage where it's 40 degrees, then it's 60 degrees for the temperature of the roots. They're not going to survive either because it's too cold. So I'm not sure why they have such a general statement there. So I'm English speaking Canadian and I use the metric system. I see Fahrenheit on the box right here, and in Spanish I see Celsius, and in French I see Celsius. So 22% of Canada speaks French. What about the rest of the metric world who speaks English? I'm not sure what they are supposed to read. So again, looks like the marketing team dropped the ball on the labeling of this product. So let's have a look and see what is inside. So very thick, heavy product. Has a lot of instructions again, and actually has some directions for temperatures. Has a standard cord, it's not 3-prong. There's the instructions written right here. It's a bit of a funny smell to it, I think like a rubbery smell to it. So it tells you that you should have it between 70 and 85 degrees. Of course there's no thermostat with this, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. And then different types of plants and how many days it will take them to germinate. So not bad. It does have a good feel to it. I'm pretty impressed with that. There's a sticker here, QC passed. So the quality control of the sticker didn't work because the sticker fell off, but I guess the product passed. To make sure that your plants don't cook, you're going to need to have some sort of thermostat. So luckily I picked one of those up as well. So next we'll have a quick look at the thermostat. It's accurate within 2 to 3 degrees, so keep a second thermometer on hand so that you can compare the two and make sure that it's not out of whack. This plugs into your wall and your heating mat plugs into it. So there's also a temperature probe which goes into the soil. Put it about halfway down into an interior cell. Don't use an exterior one because that's too much influenced by your outside air temperature. Use an interior one to get a more accurate reading of what's going on. Okay, let's have a look inside. The probe about 1 inch to 1.5 inches into the rooting area. Don't submerge it. Plug in the mat. There's lights on here, one for power, one for heating, and then for setting. We'll get this set up here in a few minutes. Overall, it feels like pretty decent quality, decent plastic, nice thick power cord, 3-prong. So yeah, not too bad. Let's get this stuff tried out. Here's a quick look at the peat moss pucks that I'll be using today. It's the Jiffy Professional Greenhouse, and basically it's just dehydrated peat moss inside of these little pucks. You just add water, about 2.5 liters for this, and then they'll expand fully. I like using these because they're clean, and it's pretty much all the work is done for you. There's no messing with soil, and the configuration is nice, and they're grouped nicely together. And they also are easy to transfer once the seedlings are set and you're ready to bring them outside. There's a netting covering each of the peat moss pucks and can be easily moved outside. So let's have a quick look at the seeds, which I'm going to be planting Today obviously I'm not going to be planting them all because there are about 15,000 of them. I wouldn't recommend planting root vegetables in these in this setup. You probably want to start those outdoors. Each of the seed packages here are nicely labeled, and there's quite a few: lettuce, cabbage, sunflowers, mammoth, pumpkins. So all these zucchini, they can all be planted inside. And then there's a step-by-step growing guide. So that's that one. This is the herb garden. So we'll pop that one open. This comes with some free pucks, which is nice. And then looks like thousands of tiny seeds: parsley, chives, basil, and of course the instruction guide. So let's get some stuff planted. So I've got my setup done here. It's a good idea not to set it up on a cold floor such as a basement or a garage. There's no need to be heating up that floor and dealing with the fluctuations of temperatures. So set it up on a table or rug somewhere where it's a non-conductive surface. So when choosing the location for your plants, keep them out of the reach of pets, because you don't want your pets to damage the plants or possibly eat the plants. Also make sure you have no direct sunlight on your seedlings. The covers will be on your trays, and that will preserve the moisture and the temperature produced from the heating pad, and you don't want to lose that humidity. So if you have direct sunlight on here, it's going to change the temperature within each of the trays, and you could possibly lose all of your seedlings. So once the water has been absorbed by the peat moss and you're ready to start planting, make sure you read the instructions for each of the seed types that you will be planting so that they are planted to the correct depth. The heat mat can only be set to one temperature, so if you're planting seeds that have multiple temperature preferences, then you might want to either avoid planting those seeds or find the average of all the seeds and then set the thermostat to that temperature, or pick up a second heating mat and thermostat. Also, when you're planting the seeds, plant a couple of seeds within each of the pellets, because one of the seeds may not germinate, and if they both germinate, you can let them both survive, or you can pick the tallest one after a couple of weeks and then pinch off the loser. When you are planting, make sure not to tear the netting around each of the pellets. That will allow the peat moss to escape, and it might become messy, and then when you're trying to transplant them down the road, you might end up losing some soil there as well and damaging some roots. Also, when you are planting, use like a pencil or a chopstick and loosen the soil at the top of each of the pellets before putting the seed into the bucket itself. Another helpful tip: if you are planting multiple seeds, use masking tape and put the names of each of the seeds along the front or on the side, and that will help you better keep track. Or you can draw yourself a map and keep track of your seeds and which ones are what that way. So after you've planted your seeds, you're going to want to put the covers on tightly, and once the seedlings have sprouted, you want to just put the cover on but not tight. Don't seal it completely, give it some room to breathe. And then once they're a couple of inches tall and they have formed real leaves, or they've touched the top of the container, you're going to want to remove the cover altogether. So once all of your seeds are planted, you will need to lower your lights.
Lower your lights to about half a foot above the top of your trays. This will allow even coverage across all of your plants.
So before I start planting here, let's have a quick look at how these lights look. Okay, so the studio lights are turned off, so let me just use the switch here and turn this on. So the light's been on for about a minute now. It started off pretty dim, but after some time there, it has brightened up significantly. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is plug my heating mat into the thermostat, and then I'm going to plug the thermostat into the wall. Okay, so it looks like the current temperature is 63.8 and it is heating. So if I press and hold the set, the 80 will start flashing. So I want to put it at, let's say, 75, and then hit set, and then it tells that it's set for 75, and of course it is heating. So it's as simple as that to use.
I have my thermostat set for 75 degrees, and you're going to notice the temperature is going to drop a couple of degrees below before the heater kicks in, and then it may go a couple of degrees above before it cuts out. This is perfectly normal and expected behavior.
To ensure my plants get consistent day-to-day lighting, I'm going to be using this light timer. I had it set to come on at 6 a.m. and turn off at 10 p.m.
In this part of the video, I am aerating the soil with a chopstick and then dropping the seeds inside of the pellets.
When adding water for the first time or when watering your plants, avoid chlorinated water. You don't want to kill any of the bacteria in your soil. Let the water sit for about 24 hours to allow the chlorine to evaporate and for the temperature to come down to room temperature. You could also use melted snow, rainwater, or pond water, or any water from your water barrel. At first you want to add 2.5 liters, which is 10.5 cups, and any excess water can be poured off. Don't add any fertilizers. The peat moss doesn't need it. Once you transplant your plants to pots or to your garden after 3 or 4 weeks, then you can add fertilizers like compost tea. So after 7 days of growth, here's what we have. Some of the seeds have germinated and some are a little bit slower to develop. I drop a couple of seeds into the tray and you can see that these grew as well. Some of them are pretty aggressive and have already outgrown their pellets and started invading the neighboring plants, which will have to be transplanted sooner than later. You can also see that the plants on the outskirts are leaning in to get more light. That bugs me, and additional lights would solve this problem. I'd rather see equal lighting across all plants. I think I'd have more success with these shop lights, which I've converted into studio lights. They're about $100 and they come with chains for raising and lowering them, and they hold up to 4 light bulbs. Definitely worth a try, especially with the high cost of this jumpstart lighting system. Also, next time I think I'll pay more attention to the grouping of seeds to ensure the slower germinators are grouped together. I need to remove the covers, but only half the plants are tall enough and are touching the lids. I know that was a lot of information packed into this video, and I hope it was helpful. I hope my tips on the equipment selection and the tips for starting your garden indoors in the spring help you be more successful. I was able to get my seeds to germinate in record time this year, and I'm expecting a good growing season. I mean, this is a good setup. The light works well, but you might be able to do better with shop lights, hanging them from your ceiling with some chains. My heating mat works very well, but of course you're going to need to have the thermometer, and the Jiffy pellet packs, they're always great. Please let me know about your setup and what works for you. It would also mean a lot to me if you can give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel to see what else I'm up to in the garden.